Welcome to Lecture 5, Levels of Analysis in Comparative Administration. Introduction. In your previous lectures, you have been taught the meaning of comparative administrations, how the subdiscipline emerged, and some of the reasons why anyone find it rewarding to study comparative administration. In this lecture, we will be talking about the different kinds of study under comparative administration. For instance, comparative administration scholars can decide to look at the entire administrative system of two or more countries. They may be interested in just comparing two important institutions in any two countries. They may even be interested in comparing very small aspects of these institutions. These three types of studies are known as macro, middle range, and micro level of analysis, respectively. Course objectives. At the end of this lecture, you should be able to 1. Mention the three different levels at which comparative administration can be studied. 2. Explain these three different levels of at which comparative administration can be studied. 3. Discuss the advantages each of these three levels of studies in comparative administration. And 4. The disadvantages of each and every one of them. Content. Comparative public administration can be undertaken at three levels: at the macro level, and middle range level. It is important to keep in mind at what level we are undertaking our study when we do comparative public administration. Depending on the primary concern of the study and the range of issues we seek to highlight, any study on comparative public administration can be situated within these three levels of analysis. In this lesson, we shall look at different levels of analysis as well as cite practical examples of studies that can be situated within any of the three. Macro level analysis. Macro level analysis of comparative public administration, as the word implies, refers to studies in comparative public administration that focus on the comparisons of whole administrative systems in their proper ecological context, according to Basu 2006. For example, a macro study will involve a comparison of the administrative systems of India and USA. It will comprise detailed analysis of aspects and parts of the administrative systems of the two countries. When we do macro level analysis, we must endeavor to factor in the way and manner the environment shapes the operation and functioning of the public administrative system, which is why it is important to stress the impact of systemic factors on the operation of the administrative system. From this perspective, it will be important to stress the political culture of the country, its political profile and political stability, as well as the machinery of government. The relationship between politics and administration would equally be worthy of consideration. In certain climes, there is a clear line of demarcation between political offices an administrative position, whereas in other systems, lines have been increasingly blurred. Basically, under this level of analysis, the primary concern is to highlight the relationship between an administrative system and its external environment. Micro-level analysis. Micro-level analysis refers to the comparison of an individual organization with its counterparts in other settings. A micro-study might relate to an analysis of a small part of an administrative system, such as the recruitment or training system in two or more administrative organizations, according to Peter 1994. Since micro-study analysis focus on specific issues or areas, they are easy to undertake and perhaps more purposeful. Although the focus in this kind of study would not be on the large-scale features that are typical of macro-level analysis, it is sometimes inevitable that ecological context within the issue under investigation is located will be highlighted or emphasized. A good example of this kind of study is a comparison of recruitment in local governments. Middle range studies. A middle range study refers to studies that are sufficiently large in size and scope of functioning. Here, they are neither as large scale as macro level studies nor as minuscule as micro studies. Under this study, one may focus on one of the several characteristics of public administration in one context in comparison to that of other clients. Examples of middle range studies include comparison of local government in the United States and Nigeria, or comparison intergovernmental relations between or among countries. Levels of analysis between coexistence and competition. From the analysis already presented above, it may appear that these levels of analysis are mutually exclusive, or alternatively, that the three levels of analysis can be combined to provide for greater insight on issues. While it is true that some studies may adopt any one of the three levels, it doesn't mean that they cannot be combined. Indeed, some of the most remarkable works on comparative public administration have sought to synergize these three levels into one study in order to produce incisive and insightful analysis of the public administrative studies of countries from a comparative perspective. Since macro level analysis place emphasis on the forest and micro level analysis places so much emphasis on the trees, what we need is a study that does not place too much emphasis on the macro at the expense of the micro, and vice versa. Although the macro level analysis allows for a broad view, it is too costly. Moreover, since it aspires to cover a broad range of issues, its analysis tend to be shallow. It is also time and resources consuming. Alternatively, studies that rely on middle range and micro level analysis are less expensive, easily conducted, time and resource saving, thus a delight to do. Besides, They provide in-depth analysis about issues under investigation. Although in this work we have applied the macro level analysis to compare administrative systems, we rely on the good judgment of the students to locate specific micro areas of comparison that we have not emphasized in this work. Summary. In this lecture, we have just learned that there are 3 levels at which we can undertake studies on comparative public administration. At the macro level, it involves the comparison of all administrative systems. The macro level, which involves comparison of very small aspects of administrative systems of 2 or more countries. This may, for example, involve comparison recruitment systems in an individual organization with those of its counterparts in another setting. The 3rd level is known as middle range level, which involves studies which are not too large or too small to be called macro or micro level of analysis. This is the end of lecture 5. Thank you for listening.